Good evening, friends. I, Chanchal Shan, welcome to you on this beautiful platform where we learn English together. So, in our today's class, we are going to discuss another important topic of our grammar, that is prepositions of time. Okay. So, when we talk about prepositions of time, here we include those words or those prepositions which only represents time in our daily language. Okay. So let's see what is here. So what is proposition of time basically? Proposition of time is a proposition, as you can see here, a very simple definition or a very simple understanding is there. You can understand here while reading that allows you to discuss a specific time. When we talk about a specific time, suppose when we talk about days, when we talk about dates, or when we talk about calendar or specific holidays, wherever we need to represent time, there we have to use these prepositions. Those are known as prepositions of time. Okay, next. So what are the words basically that comes under prepositions of time? So here you can see in this slide, when we talk about prepositions of time, we use these three beautiful words: in, on, at. So if you have a very good memory, you can recall that in our previous classes, when we were talking about prepositions, we have already discussed these three prepositions, but in case of prepositions of place. So here we are talking about prepositions of time. Again, we are talking the same words, but lots of differences. These three words, when we talk about preposition of time, distinguish itself from prepositions of place. There we use these three words with respect to place, but here right now these three words we are going to use when we are going to talk about prepositions of time: in, on, and at. Got it? Now you can understand what's the difference between. Okay, next. So what is here? Prepositions of time. So here in this slide, a very beautiful chart, a very beautiful graph is represented here through this slide, that what are the usages of these three prepositions: at, in, or on. So when we talk about, let's discuss all these three one by one. So when we talk about at, where we use basically at, see, when we have to talk about specific time periods, or very specific time periods, like particular time, particular date. Okay, see, like here is times of day. Like I have to say that at 4 o'clock I will be there, so I am representing here very specific time. So at this time I will be there. So like what is given here, like at 4 o'clock, when we are talking about time, we have to use at 30, at 10:30, at noon, at midnight. Okay, so again, next is when we have to talk about meal times, like at lunch time, at breakfast time, at dinner time, we have to use here preposition at. Next is when we talk about holidays. In such cases, again, we have to use at, like at Christmas, at Easter, at the weekend. Okay, so next is expressions. When we are representing our expressions, like at present moment, what we are doing at present moment, we are discussing about very important topic, that is prepositions. Okay, so at the moment, at night. Okay, so in such cases we have to use only one preposition, that is preposition of at. Okay, so come to the next category, that is on. Okay, on. So there is a difference between at and on. Like when we talk about very specific time period, at that time we have to use at, but on is a little bit longer. Okay, all three are representing time, but see the comparison here. Okay, so when we have to talk about time periods little bit longer than at, it means when we talk about specific time periods, not very specific, only specific, at that time we have to use the preposition on. Okay, so like when we have to talk about days, like on Tuesday, on Saturday, on my birthday, on Christmas day. Okay, so again when we have to talk about dates, like we people celebrate our independence, we Indians celebrate our independence on 15th of June, on 20th May, or we can say on our anniversary. Okay, so such are the examples here. In such cases we have to use on. Next is parts of specific day, like when we have to talk about parts of the specific day. Like I'm going to talk about morning, but what morning? Monday morning. At that time we have to use on Monday morning, on Friday evening, or we can say on Saturday night, on Sunday afternoon. Okay, so need not too confused. We will discuss all these things with respect to examples. Okay, with so many examples are here, it will be clear to you. Okay, so next is in. Okay, see the comparison, if you can compare. Now we are going to talk about in here when we talk about longer periods of time. Okay, okay guys, in three categories we are talking about what is the similarity in these three propositions. We are talking about time, but how they are differentiating from each other here at very specific, on specific, and when we talk about in longer time periods, we have to represent here longer time periods, like when we talk about months, seasons, years, decades, centuries, long periods, or you can say parts of the day, like in the morning I will be there, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Okay, so let's see our next slide, what is given here. Now we are going to discuss all these three important propositions one by one with examples. Okay, so when we talk about at where it is used, at when we talk about specific time, we had already discussed, like at 5 o'clock. Okay, when we have to talk about at a period of time, like at midnight, at lunchtime, when we have to talk about at a festival, when we talk about specific festival, like on Christmas. Okay, and at a meal, at lunchtime, at breakfast time. Okay, so many examples are given here. So let's see the examples in the next slide. Let's see the examples, like I will see you at, I will see you at 7 o'clock. Okay, next is the party starts at what time? At exact time is given here at 10:30. I shall meet you, period of time, that is the specific period of the day, that is at noon. Okay, I will meet you at midnight, or I will meet you at noon. Next is I will be there at midnight. Okay, next is when we are talking about the present moment, like moments, expressions. He is busy at the moment, like I am busy with you at the moment. Okay, next is on again when we talk about days of the weeks, when we talk about specific date, when we talk about calendar holidays. Okay, but you can see here in this graph, on for days and dates, like when we are talking about 7 days of our weeks, we have to use, surely we have to use on Friday, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Saturday, so on and on. Okay, next is like when we are talking about specific days, like on 16th of May. Okay, next, like festivals, on Christmas, on Diwali, so on and on specific events or specific days, like on my birthday, on my anniversary. Okay, next, so here are a few examples. My birthday is on, so on and on, like on May. Like if we talk about my birthday is on October or this date. Okay, my dance classes are scheduled on Saturdays. I love watching the parade on Republic Days. I will see you on your birthday. Got it? I hope it's clear to you, or you got it. Next is in. So where we have to use in, when we talk about in, we have to use in with part of the day, like in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Okay, I am teaching you in the evening. Okay, next is in is used with months, with years, in November, in August, in July, in June, or in 1949, in 2000, so on and on. Okay, and here are a few examples. You can see here how we are going to use these propositions in the sentences. That is quite important application part. See the first example, I am getting married in December, or it is too hot in summer seasons. Again, when we are talking about seasons, at that time, bigger time periods, we have to use in. Like when we talk about seasons, we have to use in. It is too hot in summers. We can plan we can plan our trip in the summers. We moved to the USA in 2019. Got it? Okay, so let's see. So what is here, as you can see here, a triangle, and surely it hits your memory and you can recall the same triangle. We have already discussed this triangle when we were talking about the prepositions of place. So here again we are going to take this triangle again in order to make you clear what is the differences between in, on and at when we are talking these type of proposition with respect to time. So I have already make you clear. So see the triangle, what it represents here. As you can see, the base of your triangle in. So what it represents, when we have to talk about longer periods of time, at that time we have to use in. Like you can see here examples like with weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, we have to use in. And then little smaller as compared to in, like you can say specific time periods, we have to use on, like with days, on birthday. Okay, and then come to the next, the topmost part of your triangle, that is very specific, that is at. It represents at represents very specific time period, like hours. Okay, like 5 p.m, 12 o'clock, 7 a.m. Okay, so with the help of this triangle, so you can now differentiate what is the usage of on, at, in. Okay, next, what is this? What is this in this slide? You are quite surprised, huh? So need not to worry why this figure is given here, this picture, what it represents. So I think now it is clear to you the usage of in, on and at. So but friends, there are so many exceptions as well. Okay, these are the general rules that I have discussed with you, but there are few exceptions, and it create a kind of question mark in your mind, and your face will be like this, and your expressions will be like this girl. Okay, so what are those exceptions? Now we are going to discuss about exceptions, very important in grammar. So here are few exceptions while we people are talking about prepositions. So what are those? Let's see. Exceptions, what kind of exceptions are here? See, we say generally, what is the rule here? We say in the morning, as we have already discussed with respect to in, we say generally in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. But where is exception here? We never say in the night. That is totally wrong. What we have to use, what is the right proposition in order to represent this expression, that is at. Usually we have to use the word or the preposition at with night. We never say in the night. That is totally wrong. Why it happens? What is the reason behind that? The expression in the night, when you are using here, I'm not saying that that is wrong in the night, but generally, in general sense, we have to use at with night. But if you are using the expression in the night, when you are using in with the night, what does it means? It represents that you people are talking about during one particular night. Okay, see, here is example. Don't go out at night. The general, generally what we people say when we talking about general cases, we have to use at night. What we will say, that don't go out at night, that is not, okay, that is not safe for you. That is your general thing. Okay, we have to use at, never say in. It can be dangerous. Or you can say, we sleep in a tent, but I woke up in the night. In this second example, we slept in a tent, but I woke up in the night and could only sleep 2 hours. In this sentence, we are using in with the night, but what it express basically, it express that very specific night only. In such cases, we have to use in. What you have to remember in your mind, that whenever we are talking about night, generally we have to use the preposition at, never in. Okay, so this is one exception. What is the second exception here? We people say at the weekend, at weekends. Usually at is used with the weekends, but when we talk about American English, generally in British English, we have to use at with the weekends, but it is okay with Americans use, they can also use on the weekend. Okay, so they are using on with the weekends, but generally, because we people are following Britishers, so what is the right usage? At the weekends. So I hope these exceptions are quite clear to you. If you have any doubt, you can put on your doubts, or you can write in the comment section. So this is And for our today's class, I'm going to sum up our today's class. Okay, but before going to leave our today's class, or before going to sum up our today's class, there is one home task for you. There is one question for you. You have to find out the answer of that very question. What is that? See, on Christmas or at Christmas. What you have to tell me, what you have to answer me, this is your task. You have to do at your places. Okay, what is the difference between on Christmas or at Christmas? Both the expressions or both the sentences, both these phrases are okay. Exactly, these are okay, these are correct. But what is the difference here, where we are using on Christmas or where we use at Christmas? This question is for you. Okay, so find out the answer of this question and we will discuss this question in our next class. So till then, goodbye and have a good day. Stay happy and healthy. Okay, thank you.